Thank you, my angel. And look, we're now moving from the United Kingdom to the wonderful Indonesia with Dr. Wipsar Dina Tri Andari. So, hello, please share your screen. I'm so excited to see you. Now, this wonderful human being completed her PhD last year, and she has this passionate commitment to the building of strategic partnerships, particularly in disaster management, which is so appropriate for the planet right now. So Wipsa is changing the world, and she's joining us from Indonesia unbelievably early in the morning. So selamat pagi, my darling. And she's exploring understanding women's motivation through the participation in disaster resilient villages. Wonderful, Wipsa, all yours, my darling. So wonderful to see you once more.
Thank you very much, Tara, for the opportunity. It's really a huge honor for me to be sharing this session with amazing speakers. A little bit about myself. Yes, Tara came into my supervisory team and became the my principal supervisor when I was in the brink of a disaster myself because I thought I would have to ask for extension, but she gave me encouragement that I could finish in 6 week no 6 months. So we me and my panel of supervisor worked so hard, and we finally managed to squeeze the thesis on time on the last date, and I then completed it. So so that's where I met Tara, and she's such a wonderful and insightful mentor for me. So thank you again, Tara. I'm currently now the policy development advisor for the Australian-Indonesian Partnership on Disaster Risk Management, helping the National Disaster Management Agency in Indonesia to develop a disaster logistic plan that would help them ease with preparedness stage, preparing all the disaster logistic and equipment needed when a disaster strike. So my presentation is it's not actually the part of my thesis because my thesis investigated factors that influence the sustainability of disaster resilient villages. This is appeared in my coding process. I used grounded theory for this, and it inspired me very much to finish my thesis because the motivation that the participant or the member of the disaster resilient village humbled me so much
Mm.
that I would like to share my experience to also a larger audience, which probably could seek some inspiration also from them. So, an introduction about Indonesia, according to World Bank, is ranked as an upper middle country, and it's the biggest Muslim country in the world, with 80% of its population is embracing Islam. Um, but I'm also Muslim too, and in my interaction, particularly with Western colleague, I often see the stereotyping of Muslim women. These are the question that I get a lot when we exchange and when we discuss. Um, some questions like Indonesian women must be oppressed because they have to cover themselves. In Islam, a lot wear hijab, so people were always asking, "Are you forced to wear like a covering material on yourselves?" And then Indonesian is known for its patriarchy, no? Women must submit to their husband. This is true because this is like the culture in Indonesia where in some part of Indonesia, I think I can't speak about the whole nation, but in my location in Java, um when we have or when we go into a marriage, then usually we then regard us our husband more than us. And then some simple question like, do you really have to ask for permission when you go out of the house, your house? Those kind of questions are often asked. And I would like to probably shed some light with these experience of the women of the Kampung Siaga Bencana or disaster resilient villages. So, my introduction to KSB, I was working for the United Nations World Food Program, where they asked me to be the lead researcher for evaluating the Ministry of Social Affairs program, which is called Disaster Resilient Villages. These are the villages that will be the frontliners when a disaster comes. So, it should be self-sufficient, although it was established by the government. But it's interesting to understand what motivate these villages to keep on working, keep on protecting their community from disasters. So that was my topic, thesis topic. And then about Disaster Resilient Village or Kampung Siaga Bencana, a bit about that. It's one of the Ministry of Social Affairs flagship program. It usually consists of 30 until 50 people residing in the same area. And currently there are 900, more than 900 KSB established across Indonesia. So when I meet these women, they often tell me what motivate them to be a member of the Disaster Resilient Village or KSB because they are self-sufficient. They're not funded. They don't receive salary, but they would have to go to the front line and risk their life, risk their family. Like I said, family is very huge in Indonesia, so usually it's our number one priority. But I meet these women every time I go and do my research, and their experience just amazed me because I was up there with the United Nations, with the government, but then I saw these people that are content with what they do, although it risks their lives. So they tell me why. Um, uh, I'm not analyzing this from a gender perspective because I am no gender expert, but this is what I found throughout my research, field research. So people say women, they belong in the kitchen, but for these women that I meet, they're the frontliners and in disaster and crisis. So there was one woman I met in Central Java, and she was not only a member of the disaster resilient village, but a Tagana. That's Tagana is the one that also provide quick life-saving services to the villagers. And she said she saved a driver from a bus crash. Um, when there was an accident, I did not we did not know that there was an accident, but the driver was stuck in the steering wheels. The place was surrounded by men, but I went inside and helped. The police did not stop me, or the other men did not stop me because they know that she was helping. When I was helping carrying out the driver, somebody documented it and it went viral in the internet. So it was in YouTube when she was performing that. And she was a very fit young lady, also wearing a hijab, but it did not uh, be a challenge for her, or it did not block her path to do what she wants, helping people in crises. And then another story, one of the KSB in East Java, where women make up 60% of the KSB membership. So disaster is usually traditionally men's work, bread and butter. Like myself in disaster logistic policies, I think I'm the only one that is doing this currently. Um, so it in not a lot of KSB has women as their member, but there is one KSB. I think there are few though that women make up more than half of the membership,
Wow.
and this was very welcome by the community. Like one KSB leader in that area, he said it with an affectionate tone, that he said, "These ladies, ma'am, they're bringing pots, pans, everything they have from their houses. They bring and these are rural women that do not have much. In Indonesia, I think I read that the salary the monthly salary is around 200 Australian dollars. So they don't have much, but they bring all what they have in their houses to open a public kitchen. So opening a public kitchen is one of the core role of the disaster resilient villages. They bring salted fish, eggs, rice from their homes, and then they will look for a dry place. They will set a tent and they will start cooking immediately. So they are the core of the community, and people are often seeing them as their rescuers when a disaster happens. And then I met women in leadership. In Yogyakarta, there was a KSB that had a conflict because the old management was forced to reshuffle and then to be changed by a new management. But then the head of villages that was newly elected, she was a woman, and her name was Miss Annie. She had a background of law, and when she saw what happened in this KSB, she took her own initiative and said, "Nope, the old
Hmm.
management still have a legal standing. I will not push them away, but instead I will reinstate them." And this actually brought unity in the KSB. This KSB that was being passive and not responding to the disaster, I think flood occurs frequently there. They came together as she managed to give motivation to the member of the KSB. One member said, "Our spirit returned because of Miss Annie and her persistence to come on, let's try again. We know we're prone to disaster, so we have to revive our community to help each other." And this touched everybody. And when I came there and visited the KSB, they are now active, even posting their day activities in Instagram and YouTube also. And then balancing between housework and social work, because yes, in Indonesia, housework for women, housework is considered prioritized, particularly in the rural area. So, but when I met, not only in one KSP, but instead, I think nearly all that they say, "I'm only a housewife.
Oh,
I don't
bless.
have money to help. So how could I help?" So I could help. And I want to learn. I want to learn from others. So that's why I became a KSB member. Being a housewife doesn't stop me or doesn't make me idle, but I could contribute with my mind, with my activities, and I want to be useful for others. And then, but how about her husband, her kids? Would she be neglecting her family? And she said, "Well, my husband fully supports me. So he even drops me to the disaster site himself." They have a regular rotational shift. It depends on the disaster, but the disaster could run like months or even years. So they would have how many nights in the disaster shelter, and then they would go home and rotate every often. And she said that I come home one night and then the next day I have to go to the temporary shelter. Like that until 1 month. House chores, my husband does all that with the help of my eldest daughter. So she was also an elderly woman wearing a hijab, and she's in her 60s. And until now, I believe she is still one of the core members of the KSB. And what I see throughout my research is like they are very happy to share their stories and very willingly to share with a stranger. So when they tell it with happiness, I also feel happy inside, and this gives me the motivation to also wanting to finish my thesis because of them. Another story, uh, in Indonesia, women are the primary care of her children. So there was a story also in Yogyakarta when they held a jamboree for the KSV or Disaster Resilient Village. Miss Rini, she had a daughter that had to go to the ICU, and her husband called her, and she was at the jamboree at the time, and she was very saddened, but she did not know what to do. But my husband kept convincing me that I should finish. So they held the prayers in the Jamboree site, for her daughter to recover. And after the Jamboree, they directly go to the hospital. At the end, Miss Rainey's team, which consisted of mostly women, then went on championing the setting up the tent competition. So in the Jamboree, there are skilled-based competition, and setting up a huge family tent that could cover like 10 people at once is very hard and laborious work. But the one that took the first winner was Miss Rainey's team, and they are all women. So that was mind-blowing for me at that time. And then Miss Rainey herself then went on to be elected to be the head of village. Balancing between family and social work. So it's not only the wives, but also daughters in Indonesia. They would need a parents' permission if they leave the house. And I asked this, you're very young. I think she was 21. Does your husband or your parents allow you to do these kind of things? You will be in the disaster site, and you will be far from your family. And she said, I'm single, ma'am, but I like what I do. I often go to disaster areas. And when I go home, like at 2 o'clock in the morning, my parents are okay. They give me permission because they know that I'm helping people out.
Wipsar, my darling, can we
Yeah.
start to finish it up now? Thank
Yeah.
you, my darling.
So I think this is the the two last slide. It's about men and women working together. So I ask, do you women only do the cooking and the men do the life saving? And they said, no, of course not. We do what we can do. So basically for us, we help each other, and the men willing to grind the spices. The women will do the same. So the most important thing is that we respect each other. In the people roles correspond with the skill that they have. And then this is also the motivation that I found across the KSBs is that they surrender their life to God. As I mentioned before, they only earn like 200 Australian dollars each month. So if they have to go to disaster site, or if they have to go to meetings, they cannot work for the day. But then I asked, why would you do that? You're losing money. Um, uh, how will you look for money? And a lot of them said, I don't work for one day, but I believe God will provide. Money can come from anywhere for me. Basically, for social cause, God willing, God will repay us in another way. So they feel that they're doing a good thing, they're helping, and then they understand that at the end of the day, if it's not in here, but in the next life, in the eternity, they will reap what they sow. So I'm closing my presentation here. Um, Firstly, it's for me, because I'm not a gender expert. The true essence of feminism is not define what others may perceive or stereotypes. It's about courage, determination, and the willingness to make difference, whether it's rescuing victims, providing care. And for women, they stand as an inspiration for strength, resilience, and the power of solidarity. And because of this woman, also, I argue that I could finish my PhD. So thank you very much.
Wipsar